This is the knockout artist, Chris Hero. And if you're looking for some true heel heat, you better listen to the boys.
What's up, guys? It's Wolverine, Death Machine, Mr. GMSI himself, Brian Cage, and you're watching True Heel Heat. Who better? Nobody.
Rob Van Dam, listen to True Heel Heat. Pow!
Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. We are live on the True Heel Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for TNA Genesis 2025 preview, breaking down this Sunday show from Dallas, Texas. TNA Genesis, the first major event of 2025 for TNA. So you already know who I got with me today. He is the MC of everything TNA on your YouTube screens when it comes to talking about it every Thursday following TNA Impact over on the Fightful main channel. After all the major events, he's over on the Fightful main channel. He's even talking about it in the weeds on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays as well. The main man, Joe Pearl, is back. How are you doing?
The only man who can get me out of my Fightful bubble is SP3. Whenever anyone from True Heel Heat comes calling and they're like, hey, come and talk about TNA, come and talk about this, come talk about that, I will almost never say no. So thank you. I love being here. I'm doing well. I've been up since 3 a.m. I was talking about it on my morning show this morning. I have a cracked rib. So I feel great.
Working double time with a cracked rib? Who are you?
I don't know.
Freaking like Will Ospreay going into that Okada match at World's End. Like, you're like this. Like,
I'm a zombie. I ache. I hurt. But I'm here because I love you people.
God bless you. God bless you, sir. We love having Joel here on screen with us. We love having Joel even in the chat, because I always know that Jimmy will use that as an opportunity to call you out for for not apologizing to him.
Never. Jimmy has nothing to be apologized about to or whatever. He just, come on. No. I was
Can't
right.
wait till we get him back on In the Weeds so he can address this. He can confront you, address his enemies.
I mean, listen, there will be reason to bring Jimmy back onto the show soon enough, so I'm sure we'll do it, and he knows he's always welcome.
God bless. God bless. But God bless all of y'all. Thank y'all for joining us live. We appreciate y'all if you're joining us live. Appreciate y'all if you're watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back. The simplest way possible is by dropping the thumbs up on this video. You could share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, sound off in the live chat. We love to interact with all of you guys, hear your thoughts, your predictions for this Sunday's TNA Genesis live on pay-per-view. What do you think about the major title matches, the big grudge matches on the card? Let us know your predictions in the live chat. We'll try to highlight as many of your comments as possible. But of course, if you're feeling generous, you want to give back to what we do here, you could send a super chat donation. Any dollar amount matters. It goes back to the contributors that you see on screen with us here. So we always appreciate the support. We got Hassan in the chat who says, let's roll up for TNA Wrestling Genesis. I'm sure that is how a lot of y'all will get through Sunday's pay-per-view. We also got Power Driver Finisher in the chat. THH. Love Dogs who says, do you guys think TNA will have a big role in Vengeance Day? Which is an interesting question because we are coming off the heels of the latest TNA star to show up on WWE NXT as TNA Knockouts World Champion Masha Slamovich was there in the crowd at last night's NXT. How surprised were you to see the TNA Knockouts World Champion? And what do you think about this question from Love Dogs? Do you think TNA will have some type of role in Vengeance Day?
I was a bit surprised to see Masha show up. Not as surprised as Vic Joseph was, because he surely couldn't remember her name for the first 7 minutes that she was on camera behind the women who were wrestling. But otherwise, I think this is the beginning of something going into Vengeance Day. Vengeance Day is February 15th. It's a Saturday. TNA is allegedly, this is according to Fightful Select, going to have some tapings about a week later in potentially Florida. Venue hasn't been announced yet, but the belief is there will be a live episode of Impact potentially and some tapings as well. With that comes the possibility that because there's no TNA Plus event in February, why not have a little fun with the NXT talent? And I think that's a good way to share some screen time and do something different.
I agree. I like that. I like that for sure. We got G Loke in the chat. Good to see you. He's always here when Joel's here. When Joel's here, he always shows up in the chat. He says, what it do at True Hill Heat? Please smash up that like and let's go. How you forgot my name for 7 minutes. LOL. I didn't even notice that. I was so excited for Masha being able to, hang out with her and know her in real life outside of what she does in wrestling. And of course, I got to actually interview her all the way back. I think this was in 2018, 2019. So before she really got into the spotlight of like the independent scene and TNA, I got to talk to her then just because I thought she had the coolest name ever for a female wrestler. And she still does. And it was just awesome to see her. But I did not notice Vic Joseph did not know her name and just called her TNA Knockouts World Champion.
It wasn't until they put the Chiron up with their name on it. I was like, she's not just a fan sitting there with a title belt. Like, let's do something here. You got Cora Jade doing this with her finger and her thumb, just be like, I see you. And I'm like, yeah, you see her, but clearly commentary has no clue what you're looking at.
They didn't even take the time Sean didn't take the time to look up on his phone who she was facing on Sunday either. They promoted TNA Vengeance Day. She'll be defending the TNA Knockouts World Championship this Sunday at TNA Vengeance Day. I was like, oh, that's nice. Who's she facing, Vic?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It doesn't on multiple levels. It doesn't matter, but it'll be a really fun match. I know we're going to talk about it.
Absolutely. But hope we answered your question, Love Dogs. But keep coming with those comments in the live chat. As we do all our pay-per-view previews, Joel, I will ask you, give us your anticipation level, your excitement level for this Sunday show from 0 to 10. How do you feel about TNA Genesis?
I think I'm about a 6.5, maybe bordering a 7 right now. A lot of these matches, to me, who I watch the weekly product, I keep up with it, I know what's going on. So for me, a lot of this stuff is pretty cut and dry, especially knowing who's coming and who's going from TNA. But on the other hand, I know that a lot of these matches are going to be really freaking good. And that kind of brings it up a bit. So from like a storyline expectation standpoint, it's a little lower. From a work rate, how's the match going to lay out type of standpoint, that's higher. It balances out.
Yeah, this is going to be probably the final pay-per-view for a couple of major talents on the TNA roster. So for that in mind, and the fact that I think we're finally, it's been three pay-per-views straight. You've been honey dicking me with this shit, but finally, I think we'll get a new champion in the main event. So I'll put it at a modest 7. I'm at a modest 7 for this Sunday. But speaking of world champions, we'll start off with the countdown to TNA Genesis and the man who has a guaranteed shot at the TNA World Championship or any title of his choosing. The Call Your Shot Gauntlet winner, Frankie Kazarian, will go one-on-one with Leon Slater. I feel sometimes that TNA and NXT basically are like cheating off of each other. Like they have a test and they're just showing each other their notes and their answers to each other, because I feel like Frankie Kazarian is basically Sean Spears' character now. Like basically how they set up this whole matchup and rivalry here was basically him being the veteran trying to give some wisdom to a younger star in Leon Slater. Leon Slater seeing Frankie Kazarian, one of the great X Division stars of yesteryear, trying to give him some guidance, was open to it until Frankie got a little too big for his bridges and Leon turned him down, which pissed off Frankie enough. And here we go for the countdown to Genesis. What do you think about the setup for this matchup here? Who do you think wins on Sunday?
I think one of the funniest parts of the setup was the backstage moment between Kazarian and Slater when Kazarian's trying to get Slater to join him. And like, you can be my young boy, basically. You can follow me around, learn from the best. You can carry around my trophy. And Leon was like, that's nice, bro, but I don't want to do that. I want to go and carve my own path like you did. And then he walks away. Leon Slater does. JDC walks up to Kazarian and like, what was that all about? And they're like, oh, that kid's got something. But he needs some star power. And then JDC's like, they should call him the future. And Frankie Kazarian's like, that'll never work. That's too hokey. This is a good match for Slater. Leon Slater is very much going to be the X Division star of the future in TNA. Frankie Kazarian has the Call Your Shot Gauntlet trophy, so you know he's getting ready to cash in at any moment. If he loses, you could probably turn up the heat on whether or not he cashes in at the end of the night. But I think Leon Slater, there's two stories you can do. Kazarian wins, and then later on he says to Slater, hey, maybe you should have taken me up on my offer. The other story is Slater wins, and Kazarian gets a little more bold and decides to cash in later. I'd like to see Leon Slater win. I think him and Moose is a fantastic X Division championship match that moves Moose away from the X Division, gives Leon Slater the title. And again, for however you feel about Moose, when he locks up with certain talent, there's something there. Leon Slater is the latest guy. I would like to see that. Make this the beginning of it.
I like what you're thinking. I like what you're putting down with guys like, your speedball Mike Bailey leaving the company. You need new guys to kind of establish that X division and be stalwarts for that division. I agree with you. Leon Slater has kind of been the guy that's been looked at as kind of next up from the UK independent scene, and they kind of need to kind of go full throttle with it. I don't know how long he has left on his deal with TNA Wrestling, but I do know that he signed last year, so you better late than never. You better pull the trigger soon. So yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna go with Leon Slater to get the win because I think it also adds to the intrigue of the main event, which after Bound for Glory, we know it's going to have shenanigans, regardless of the result. We know it's going to have a lot of shenanigans. So, got to have Frankie involved in that shenanigans, it seems. So, yeah, I agree with you. Leon Slater for the win on the countdown to TNA Genesis. And since you mentioned him already, let's get to it on the main card for the TNA X Division Championship. Moose will defend against Ace Austin. Ace Austin is a man on a mission, been picking up some big singles victories, whether it be against Trent Seven or Kushida. He said that he talked to his former tag team partner in ABC, as well as best friend Chris Bay, who is still out with that serious injury. He says that he wants him to go forward in his career and win singles gold and become a top guy in TNA. So Ace Austin wanted to go for the one title that has eluded him his entire TNA career, the TNA World Championship. However, not everybody believes the TNA World Title is the top prize, because Moose, ever since winning the X Division Championship from Speedball Mike Bailey in November, has been establishing himself as a top champion and believes that the X Division prize is the top prize in TNA wrestling, and that Ace should be going for him, but he was too scared to do so. Ace says that he's a two-time X Division champion, and he has no problem beating Moose for it, setting up this matchup for TNA Genesis. Can Ace Austin win some championship gold in honor of Chris Bay, or will Moose continue with this X Division title reign? And what do you think about this new X Division championship that Moose is going to be introducing this Sunday?
So bump literally everything you said, except for the last 7 seconds. I just want to see that gaudy ass title that Moose is going to bring out. He's like a title that's fit for Moose. I'm like, have you seen his kicks? Like, you see what he wears? That thing going to be ugly as sin. And that's what I'm looking forward to. Just this jewel encrusted green goblin-esque BS title. I want to see that, because they're doing this, because they're unveiling this Moose X Division Championship. I figure Moose is going to retain. I do appreciate that in the build, as quick as it's been, they didn't use Chris Bay as Moose didn't use Chris Bay as the reason he's going to win, because Ace is using Chris Bay as the reason he's going to get singles gold, right? I sat by my partner's bedside before he went into surgery, and Chris said, now's your time to go for singles gold. They made it a more underdog babyface story. And they didn't use Moose as oh, your partner sucks, you shouldn't be injured. They tried, but Ace cut him off before Moose had a chance to say anything. As a result, this isn't a cheap heat type of story. This is a dominant X Division champion who's got a new belt, a new toy to play with. Ace is going to come up short. The match is going to be fantastic, is what I expect. But I feel like this will be Ace kind of hitting close to rock bottom before building himself back up. I don't know what his future holds. That's the one thing. And I'm not talking contract-wise. I'm talking his story. If he's going to have a true singles run, you don't start at the top. You don't start at the world title. You would want the X Division Championship. But this isn't going to be the win. This is Moose's match. That's it.
Yeah. I see the whole Ace Austin singles gold, and specifically going for the TNA World Championship, to be a year-long story. I think that Chris is going to be out for that long. I think he probably, the best we can do is probably the end of the year or next year, if he is able to get back inside the ring. So you could do a year-long story with Chris, with Ace trying to win that world title for Chris Bay. I think he eventually is the one to beat Moose. I just don't see it happening at Genesis. So yeah, I agree with you. Moose gets the win here, but I can see Ace Austin winning the X Division Championship by Slammiversary, and then maybe even being in the TNA World Title picture by Bound for Glory.
Yeah, but how ugly is that belt going to be?
Oh, it's going to be very gaudy. I know Moose. I've seen Moose in street clothes. It's going to be very gaudy if it's fitting for him.
Those Shrek ass shoes from last Thursday.
Maybe some moose ears on it or something like that.
You know the Brahma Bull belt that The Rock got, the People's Championship? He's going to do that, but it's going to be a moose.
Oh, it's going to be so ugly.
It's going to be ugly.
Will he get Muhammad Ali's wife to give it to him?
Trying to think who would fit in this case. I don't know who would fit in this case.
Who would fit in this case? So WWE gets Muhammad Ali's wife. Then freaking TNA is gonna get Clubber Lane's wife.
Yeah.
TNA, that's where TNA would go.
Ortiz married.
Absolutely, yes. Get Tito Ortiz's ex-wife or Rampage Jackson's ex-wife.
Jeez. All right, we got it. We figured it out.
For the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championships, it's going to be Spitfire, Jody Threat, and Danny Luna defending against Ash and Heather by Elegance. Or as Joel Pearl referenced them during our Bound for Glory preview. What was it? Reckless Elegance, or Reckless Elegance.
Now they're just the Elegances.
The Elegances. But yes, this whole rivalry here kind of stems from Bound for Glory, where Spitfire retained their titles, while Ash and Heather by Elegance picked up their first tag team win together. Since then, they have been picking up some wins in the tag team division and picked up some singles victories over our champions here. They stood tall during the big 8-woman tag during the post-match to that, when Tessa Blanchard and Jordynne Grace fought to the back. It was Ash and Heather by Elegance who stood tall with those titles in hand. Will we see that picture again on Sunday, or will Spitfire continue their reign? I'm gonna go with the by Elegances. Because it's the Knockouts Tag Team title. These things change like the month.
If anyone watches our post show on Fightful, and I know some of y'all do who are in the chat, you've watched myself and Cresta Star, me specifically, explaining to Cresta the lineage of the Knockouts tag titles from 2 champions ago till the Elegance is winning, and then the next champions are Rosemary and Havoc. And I basically plotted the whole thing out, where it was Masha Lisha up to Spitfire to the Elegance, which is what will happen at Genesis, and then the return of Jessica Havoc to take out Ash by Elegance, who took out Jessica Havoc last year, and that's going to be the return of that whole thing. So
there you go.
Sorry.
So we're pulling the trigger on Sunday.
Oh, of course we are. You got to have one title change, and this is the one.
Oh man, I hate the fact that that spoiled one of your other predictions. If you're saying that's going to be the only title change,
no, who knows? I've been awake since 3 a.m, and it's currently 1:30 in the afternoon. So maybe I'm wrong about the things I just said.
Oh, CBZ says George Iceman carries this act for me. He's so good, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's carny-rific. Carny-rific.
The most awkward interaction I've ever had in wrestling was walking in the summertime. I think it was this past summer with my, at the time, 2-year-old son down the street, like on the street where I live, and seeing Iceman and his friend just like while walking around the neighborhood. And I'm like, oh, hey, George. He's like, oh, hey, Joel. I'm like, that's weird. Here's my kid.
He knows your name. Yeah, you're famous.
Trust me, he shouldn't know my name, but here we are.
You're famous, Joel. But
there are levels of fame, SP3, and there's keep going.
I'm happy for your fame. Next up, we got a big time grudge match. Probably the match I'm looking forward to, or one of the matches I'm looking forward to the most on Sunday. It's going to be Josh Alexander, the walking weapon, going one-on-one with Mike Santana. Back at Final Resolution, both men were involved in a 4-way match to determine the number 1 contender to face Nic Nemeth for the TNA World Title that was won by Joe Hendry. During the bout, Mike Santana got the better of Josh Alexander and stole his headgear. It's led to Josh Alexander targeting Mike Santana. Mike Santana basically referencing how Josh Alexander is bald, and he would just wanted to point that out to the fans, and the fans did point that out to Josh by chanting, "You're still bald." So they've had exchanging of bitter words. We've had Josh say that Mike just isn't ready for the top spot like he is, like he's been positioned as the face of TNA for all these years, and Santana still in his quest for the world championship. Can he get by who has been the standard of TNA for all these years in what could possibly be Josh Alexander's final pay-per-view match with the company? What have you thought about the build to this matchup here? Who do you think wins on Sunday?
A lot of people know that I was banging the drum for Santana for a long time, up until I was also pointing out that this should have been Santana and Nemeth for the world title at Genesis. When they didn't go that way at Final Resolution and had Joe Hendry win the Fatal 4-Way that had Alexander, Hendry, Santana, and who was the fourth? Oh, no.
Steve Macklin.
Oh, Macklin. Well, you think I would remember the name Steve Macklin, but here we are. Anyway.
Your rival. Like, how dare you?
He's not on the card. I don't have to think about him on Sunday. So anyway, we'll see him soon enough. The whole thing with Alexander and Santana being part of the match at Final Resolution and their kind of story that started building from there made me think, if they're going to UBS Arena in July and Santana is a New York boy, that's the crowning moment. It's not Texas. It's going to be New York. With this match with Josh Alexander, he was the heart and soul of TNA for so long. He was the guy who wanted it brought back to TNA more than anybody. It was him and Jordynne Grace banging that drum for the longest time possible. The irony being they're both leaving now. But the point is, with Josh being that guy and also carrying the X and world titles to prominence in TNA and Impact, Santana now has the opportunity to be crowned the next heart and soul of TNA, to be crowned that next guy. This is a match of respect. This is a match of two guys who have very similar paths, but are very different, going at it and having a banger of a match. This, to me, should be the match of the night for story and moves. If you're a moves person, this should be the match of the night. Santana wins, the handshake at the end. Josh Alexander says, "You did me proud." The biggest question I have, believe it or not, is what happens to Sinner and Saint once Josh is gone? Granted, Josh isn't gone until mid-February. Technically, that NXT PLE is his last hurrah with TNA. That's the end of his contract. He's a free agent as of the 16th. Maybe he's not. But I just expect Sinner and Saint to flourish after this.
Yeah, I think they'll get a push, somewhat of a push in the tag team division. Definitely higher than like the Good Hand. To be fair, but yeah, I think Sinner and Saint will be fine following this. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this matchup probably the most because, like you said, the similar paths. Both guys came into TNA as tag team wrestlers. To one of the top rivalries of like 2019, and so was the North versus LAX. The North becoming the longest reigning TNA World Tag Team Champions, and then everything Josh has accomplished since Ethan Page left the company, winning the X Division Championship, winning the TNA World Championship twice, the longest reign in company history. You see a lot of that in Santana, and I've loved his rise. He arguably stole the show at Bound for Glory with Moose, and I expect him to do the same again with Josh Alexander here, probably even better, because I feel like these guys will be motivated to smash this out the park. But I agree, Mike Santana gets the win. And yeah, probably Slammiversary in New York City. That's the spot. If you don't pull the trigger, especially in this main event, then you definitely should pull the trigger then.
We'll get deeper into that when we talk about Nemeth and Hendry and what I'm thinking and where it could go. But he's the guy. He really is. Yeah.
We got in the chat here CPZ who says, sad to see Josh go. He really carried the company through some rough times. He's been the face of TNA these last couple of years. It's been him and Jordynne Grace that have really, like you said, they were the two that really wanted TNA to make its return, and they've been the two that's been waving the flag for the company.
And he's given everything to TNA. He really has. His entire family has done something for the company at this point. So if he leaves and this is it for Josh Alexander and TNA, he leaves with his head held high because he did business the right way and he was always a professional in every sense of the word to this company.
Absolutely agree with you. But next up, we got someone who's been waving the flag since winning the TNA Knockouts World Championship at Bound for Glory. Masha Slamovich will make her next defense, going one-on-one with Rosemary in a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. no disqualification, no count out, anything goes. Raven's rules. It was Raven who was Rosemary's, I guess, mentor, colleague, or devil assistant. I don't know, but he came up with the idea for this matchup here. Rosemary's been picking up wins. She won a 3-way match at Turning Point to become the #1 contender for this matchup here. Been targeting Masha Slamovich, even in that aforementioned 8-woman tag a couple of weeks ago on TNA Impact. Can Masha retain the championship? And how will Masha's presence on WWE NXT, TNA NXT. I'm telling y'all the future. I'm sorry, guys. So how will her presence on NXT this week influence the result of this matchup here? And I've been like, I think there's a reason why I'm putting this match first before another women's match, because the other women's match has all the focus, because this is very like I haven't been like in depth watching TNA late. I think I still have to finish last week's show, but I haven't really seen the focus on this rivalry going into Genesis.
Because there is none.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I
go to you. You're the expert. You watch it. You take notes. I had to confirm with you, because from me outside looking in, watching it on replay because I'm reviewing the show while it's on, it doesn't look like this is the focus at all.
So when you and I do the crossover between ROH and TNA, a couple of weeks ago, I'd mentioned on the crossover how funny it was that you had the final shot. This was like Tessa comes back, blah, blah, blah. The Elegance is raising the tag titles and all that. What had happened in that match? It was a 8 knockouts tag team title main event. I was trying to think if it was 8 or 12, but it's 8. 12 is on the other show on the Saturday. That's a different program. So anyway, with the knockouts match that they did, one thing that was really neat was Masha pinning Tasha Steelz, who was her opponent at Final Resolution. That was the end of Tasha Steelz as a knockouts champion competitor, but Rosemary was in that match. And to me, it was like, you have the knockouts tag team champions, you have the other tag team in the knockouts division who are going after the title. You had Tasha Steelz, you had Masha, and then you had Rosemary. Rosemary is the only odd person out. It made perfect sense that because Rosemary made allusions to going after the knockouts title, she would go after Masha. That's where we are. I like that they made this into a plunder match, because otherwise you're not going to touch the other heat that's on the knockouts match, the Jordynne Grace match. We'll talk about that later. This is just Masha gets to go have fun, do things she would normally do in a place like, I don't know, GCW, and just go hardcore. And Rosemary's good with that too. My favorite part is the build for this match. Raven showing up last week. I don't know, you said you haven't necessarily seen it yet, but Raven asking Rosemary off screen, you haven't held that belt in like what, 7-8 years? You think you can still do it? And like, he says belt. He doesn't like, it's not title, it's not championship. He's like, yeah, he's just nonchalant. Raven does not care, and it's the best. Go watch that segment, because that just sets up the entire match. Otherwise, these two women, they don't know each other. They just know that they're gonna fight, and that's it. So Masha's gonna retain, and it's gonna be fun because it's plunder.
Yeah, the plunder style gives me hope that this will be good, because Rosemary can work that style. If you watch Masha Slamovich in places like GCW, she can work a plunder style brawl as well. So I look forward to what they're gonna put together when the bell rings. We got CPZ who says, is Rosemary physically capable to make this match work? She's not as physically healthy as 2016 due to those knee surgeries. I think because it is the plunder style brawl, the Clockwork Orange House of Fun stipulation, I think she will be able to work that style, because it doesn't take any kind of like physical kind of excursion to work that type of side.
Yeah, and on top of that, Rosemary and the company, they know what her situation is. They know what she brings to the table and what her use is, both behind the scenes and in front of the camera. So I don't think anyone's expecting Rosemary to get a shock victory over your still somewhat new champion. This is just a good match for Masha to build on her resume.
Great. We got Nicola who says, is 2025 going to be TNA's best year?
I mean, from all accounts, the verbiage has been, we're going for it. What that means, that's up to Anthem and the team at TNA. They have a lot of good, positive things going for them. They have some other things that are not so great, but they're hedging that the fans are still going to come out and support the product regardless of certain decisions they've made.
There we go. But moving on to the next matchup here, another title match for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. It will be the Hardys, Matt and Jeff, going up against the Rascalz, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz. The Rascalz have been picking up tag team victories as of late and wanted to set their sights on the TNA World Tag Team Championships, but it was the Hardys who issued the challenge for TNA Genesis to go up against the Rascalz. Clash of generations in this one here. Of course, the Hardys won the titles back at Bound for Glory. They picked up victories over the likes of the System in a tables match back at Final Resolution. But can they overcome the Rascalz here at TNA Genesis? There's another one. It's pretty much not much to this feud. It's basically a feud of rivalry of respect, a friendly rivalry, if you will, set up in the backstage segment a couple of weeks back. But who do you think pulls out the victory? Do the Rascalz be the ones to dethrone the Hardys here?
Oh, I think we know the answer to this. The Hardys are going to retain. The moment they decided that they were, going to re-sign for another year with the company, that was it. That's fine. It's all good. Listen, the Hardys are one of the top draws in TNA. Keep doing that. Keep working with that. I'm trying to remember what Jeff Hardy called them. Here we go. Rams. So they were talking about being goats, and then Jeff Hardy called them Rams, righteous, angelic, magnificent souls. The dumb. Bless Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy.
He lives in a completely different stratosphere on another planet. The man's just he's batshit. It's fantastic. This is going to be a fun match. Again, I like the Rascalz. I like both. I like Wentz. I like Trey. This will be a fun match, but it's the Hardys, and the Hardys are still big draws, and them as champions, it just makes sense.
Yeah, I don't see the Rascalz getting the win here. This seems like another case of they'll have a very good to great matchup, and maybe the Rascalz will still be in the chase. I think that eventually the Rascalz is a team I would look at to dethrone the Hardys. I would hate for, another System-like team. A bunch of two singles guys put together that comes up and beats the Hardys after you build up the Hardys all this time. It should be a young team like the Rascalz that is the ones that dethrone the Hardys for these titles. But I agree with you. My light fell. I agree with you. I think that the Hardys retain here to just continue them as the top stars of the tag team division and top draws. Like you said, they are drawing for TNA a lot right now. So keep them with the titles for now.
Exactly.
And if I didn't already, I think I don't know if I did for the last match. I'm going with Masha Slamovich against Rosemary. We do have
that was just a
power. Yeah. Power driver finisher who agrees with that. He's going with Masha Slamovich and the Hardys. We got Hassan who says, I vote for the Hardy Boys. We got CPC who says, would love to see a best of 5 series with these teams with different types of stipulations. That would be interesting. I don't know if the Hardys are physically capable of doing that type. If it's like consecutive.
If you get some tables, they'll do it.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, some tables they can fall through. Jeff can fly off something high, maybe.
It's just what he does. They did it at Final Resolution, and people were just like, I called it a car crash match. I said something about a car crash match with the Hardys. People got up in arms. I'm just like, prove me wrong. In what world are the Hardys not known as a car crash tag team? And it's okay because they're entertaining as hell. But best of 5, you could do it just like the Terry Invitational Tournament in '99.
Yeah, not many times do people bring up just the standard tag team match with the Hardys as their greatest matches. Their greatest matches are car crash matches.
Yep. And she's jerking Edge off the ladder. So, if you remember that line, thank you, JR.
Jerking Edge off the ladder, absolutely. But let's talk about the match that I think has the most heat, the most anticipation for good and bad reasons coming into this Sunday's pay-per-view. It is going to be a grudge match as Jordynne Grace goes one-on-one with Tessa Blanchard. It was back at Final Resolution after 2 days of reports and rumors that TNA were thinking about or discussing bringing Tessa Blanchard back into the company, the controversial figure that is Tessa Blanchard. She made her return at Final Resolution, attacking the top star of the Knockouts division, Jordynne Grace, later laying her out, despite the reports saying that Jordynne Grace had some pushback to working with Tessa Blanchard. We have seen a very heated storyline since then, with the two women going at it full throttle in these brawls, these pull-apart brawls, these attacks by Tessa Blanchard. She attacked Jordynne Grace following the 8-woman tag a couple of weeks ago, dragging her out of the building with the strap of a bag and saying that this is her locker room now. The two women got into a pull-apart brawl as well, which led to Santana making this one-on-one match official for TNA Genesis. I mean, these are the type of match because of the heat, because of the bitterness, the animosity between these two women. I hope it's like relaxed rules, at least. If you're not going to give it to no DQ, you need relaxed rules, because this should be physically intense. What do you think about this matchup? What do you think about TNA bringing Tessa Blanchard back into the company? Can this be a positive for TNA in 2025? And who do you think wins at Genesis?
How much time you got?
Oh, we got all day, sir.
No. That's the problem. Eventually, I'll need to take a nap. So I've made my feelings clear as to whether or not this was a good decision. It's not. That's the Cole's Notes version. Jordynne will not win, unfortunately, but she's also on her way out. We mentioned the pushback. Fightful Select had reported that, yes, Jordynne Grace had pushed back on working this match. Notice how I'm not speaking about the opponent in this match. You'll also notice that over these 3 weeks of build, there has been and there will be no face-to-face confrontation beyond physical. Sometimes pushback isn't just saying, no, I'm not going to do it. Sometimes pushback means I'm going to do it because I'm a professional. However, I will not do the following. I wouldn't be surprised to find out that one of those things may have been, don't put me in a microphone position with this person. There will be things said that I don't want to say, or I don't trust myself to say it, or I just don't want to deal with it, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do business on the way out. I think that's it. Match will be good. Jordynne knows how to work. No one's questioning the abilities of these wrestlers. They do good work. It just sucks that if this is Jordynne's last hurrah, this is how it ends for her in TNA. It was a very stupid, short-sighted move to bring in Jordynne's opponent. And I hope that they understand that, yes, more attendees at your show, more buzz, more interest. It's not coming from this person. There are lots of other talent that people are gravitating towards, some who are not even on this card and are still doing media for this event. Notice how they haven't pushed that person to do media either, because I think they know what the first question is.
Oh no, they have.
Oh, they have. Specifically with people like whom, if I may ask?
I don't know who, but I got the email this week. I got it earlier this week. Nic Nemeth, and I will say her name, Tessa Blanchard, because I think I'm the only person that calls her by her name on this channel, it seems. Just you should hear Chrissy Love talk about her. But
I think that people know how I feel. If they listen to In the Weeds, they know that I think it was a stupid, short-sighted move, and that until some sort of remorse, some sort of acknowledgement, some sort of betterment, attempt at betterment. Sorry, I'm losing words at this point. Until something like that is given, then I don't think she deserves very much attention from fans.
The lack of accountability has always been a big deal. It's always been a big deal. Like, honestly, people want to say, oh, this reason, it's that reason, or this reason, with Hulk Hogan getting booed out the building at WWE Raw on Netflix. A lot of it comes down to his lack of accountability for anything he does. And we see that in like the female version with Tessa Blanchard. There's been a complete lack of accountability. Even if you feel like you didn't do certain things, you made people feel certain ways. So you could at least apologize and take accountability for that. If you're not willing to take accountability for what you said or how you treated people, you can at least apologize for how people felt because of you. Like there was a way around it where she wasn't fully taking the responsibility of what has been the allegations against her, and at the same time apologize for how you made people feel. And she just has never made that choice. We are going on 5 years since all of this whole thing started, and it has not been enough time because she has not taken accountability. Like literally, if she had taken accountability from the jump, yes, this would have been a great idea. This would have been a great idea because it would have been enough time for people to get over it and bring her back in and say, hey, we're going to give you a chance to see if you change, to see if you can basically take the ball that you basically dropped and left. Because we're a lot of the controversy and the talk about Tessa is about, what she said or what she did backstage, and two different people, La Rosa Negra, your Chelsea Greens, the people that have still kind of expressed their animosity or kind of issues with Tessa Blanchard since then. But she completely screwed over this company as well. And I think that that's not talked about at all. It seems that should have been, like, even if you don't care about all the controversy surrounding her and you're thinking controversy creates cash, it's gonna get people's interest, they're gonna see if she's gonna fall out or see how she does, they're gonna want to see that. Even if that's your line of thinking, you also have to think about the fact she completely fucked y'all over. So why would y'all bring her back?
I will add this maybe as a final point. We'll see how we get into this. For those, held the title hostage, and she was at the end of her contract, and they just wanted her to send in footage because we were going into the pandemic. Like they just wanted content, and she refused to do it. For those who think that she has shown some sort of remorse or taken accountability at all for what happened with La Rosa Negra, because La Rosa Negra has said that it's over and that she's moved on. She's moved on, but La Rosa Negra has also pointed out that didn't come with any apology. That didn't come with any acceptance or remorse of what happened. All that came with was La Rosa Negra saying, I can't live with hate in my heart, so I have chosen to move on with my life and to forgive and just forgo. But this other person has not done a thing. There was no apology. There was no accountability. There was nothing. So for anyone who doesn't know, now you know.
Yes, people seem to not know. They see a picture and they're like, "Oh, she must have apologized." But
and again, but this is a thing that this is media literacy. This is people jumping to conclusions. This is sending out a little social media press release that says the case is closed, and people assume everything's closed.
Yeah.
There's still a whole ass other lawsuit going on, but here we are.
I do think that Tessa Blanchard gets the win here. I hate the fact that Jordynne Grace has to bow out of TNA in this matter against this person that she obviously did not want to work against, or did not want to work a proper program against, at the very least, from what we have seen. I do like the intensity of their rivalry, and I feel like this is the most heat that we have on any of the matches that we've talked about on this show. I think the most fan anticipation is the main event, but as far as heat going into a matchup, it's Jordynne Grace and Tessa Blanchard. It's just it's sad that Jordynne Grace, was really kind of the face of the Knockouts division and kind of forced her way to that spot, really through hard work, determination, and just always showing up and being there for TNA wrestling, that she has to go out in this matter. It kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does. There's an argument for her opponent being a knockout and an OG knockout and world champion. But again, a lot of externals to me and many others negate those accomplishments.
In a perfect world, her final match at TNA would have been for the TNA World Championship, because it baffles my mind they never did her going for the world title. Like, come on.
When she declared at Hard to Kill 2023 that she was going to go for, or before that, when she was going to go for the Knockouts title at Hard to Kill for the rebrand, we all sat there mouth agape being like, you could have gone for the world title. This could have been the moment, but they decided not to do that.
Yeah. Like, I think that our final match should have been for the world title against Josh Alexander. Because I know, like, talking to Jordynne in the past and talking to Josh several times in interviews, their relationship in real life is something that has kind of been a stronghold for TNA, and those two being the faces of the company over the last couple of years, that would have been a great way to kind of send her off.
Or just even some sort of knockouts match that proves that there's a future in the division. Xia Brookside, Laying Lee, someone that you have who's your next up. Hell, it could have been Savannah Evans. I don't know what they're positioning these people for, but if that was on the docket, I would have done that, because Jordynne has been synonymous with the knockouts division. You could have built your next up by getting a big win over Jordynne.
Could have done that. Well, in a sense, they have done that with the 2 wins that Masha got to set her up as the new face of the company. But yes. I know what you're talking about with like one of the younger faces. I honestly, I would have treated this kind of like her big send off, facing someone that meant a lot to her. So I think Josh Alexander or even Gail Kim, have Gail Kim come out for one more match, have her be Jordynne's final match.
Yeah. I hit the drum for Gail Kim to either have the match against Deonna or Jordynne Grace.
Yeah. We got CPZ who says, "Oh, God forbid her best friend Masha, you didn't have to rush that rematch." That rematch did feel rushed.
It did, and that's what started raising my red flags, because I thought that they would do this one at Genesis or do some sort of multi-woman match or a tag or whatever, and then they did the match, and I was like, that doesn't feel normal. And here we are.
Yeah. And I think that we talk about this with like kind of like gravity in our voice, of because we know that this is just the start. Tessa Blanchard is probably going to be TNA Knockouts World Champion by Slammiversary.
I'm going to quit the show then.
There you have it, folks. You heard it here for breaking news. True Hill Heat exclusive.
Brother, I've been talking about tipping on the 23rd of January after that live show if they don't pull it up.
You got it, folks. And then finally, we got for the TNA World Championship, it's going to be Nic Nemeth defending against the #1 contender, Joe Hendry. Back at TNA Slammiversary, Joe Hendry came so close to winning the TNA World Championship in the 6-way elimination matchup. He was screwed over by Josh Alexander with a low blow, but it was Nic Nemeth who pulled out the win to become the TNA World Champion. Joe Hendry fought his way up the ladder, picked up wins against Josh Alexander, Frankie Kazarian, to earn one more shot at Bound for Glory in Detroit, Michigan. With all the momentum in the world, with an Eminem entrance, everything at the wind at his feet, Joe Hendry looked like he was on the cusp of victory when JBL showed up once again, helped Nic Nemeth retain the gold, and Nic Nemeth walked out TNA World Champion at Bound for Glory. Joe Hendry started from the bottom, fought his way back up, picking up wins over Ryan Nemeth. He won the Turkey Bowl back at Turning Point, and then won a 4-way match against Steve Macklin, Josh Alexander, and Mike Santana at Final Resolution to become the #1 contender for TNA Genesis. Since then, Ryan Nemeth has been basically a mouthpiece for his brother, saying that Joe Hendry is not ready for him. He's been getting the heat in this rivalry, as Nic Nemeth has kind of been playing it coy, kind of been playing the tweener role since Bound for Glory. He's been getting help from JBL at different points. He's been facing heels at other points, but We still don't know if Nic Nemeth knows how much JBL has been responsible for his TNA World Championship reign. We might find out on Sunday. Does Joe Hendry finally win the big one at Genesis?
Dallas, Texas, JBL, Nic Nemeth, Joe Hendry. Famous 2-night screw ups. Huh. JBL is going to be on Raw on Monday, by the way. JBL will be at Genesis on the Sunday, by the way. SP3, where is the event for TNA? Which city is it in?
Dallas, Texas.
SP3, where will Raw be on Monday, January 20th, the next night?
Dallas, Texas.
Oh my God, JBL is going to be the TNA World Champion going into Texas. You cannot honey dick us any further with Joe Hendry. Hendry has to win, otherwise you are out of your damn minds. And my expectation, let's talk a little bit forward from there. I do expect JBL to get involved. Don't know to what extent. Nemeth had signed a little bit of an extension because originally he was hard to kill, but apparently there's a little extension. So maybe there's something that they want to finish up before he moves up, whatever. I would expect Joe Hendry to win. I expect Hendry to show up at the live Impact on the 23rd and to announce the current TNA World Champion will be the first ever current seated TNA World Champion to appear in the Royal Rumble. See you there. And I'm going to win and I'm going to go to WrestleMania, blah, blah, blah. Joe Hendry, clap, clap. That'll be that. Frankie is going to cash in on Hendry between now and probably March. As early, I'd probably say sacrifice. Maybe April. Maybe. Because it's going to be Frankie Kazarian walking into UBS Arena as the champion to go up against Mike Santana. It makes no sense. 0 sense, SP3, and you know this, to do Joe Hendry versus Mike Santana at UBS, because you want that crowd firmly behind one man, and you want that man to be Mike Santana. Joe Hendry is not long for a long world title reign. Let's face it. I like Joe Hendry. I like what he does. I know people want to call him a meme wrestler, and I get it. He is not the super duper main event wrestler that TNA can have. Joe will win. It'll be a great moment. They've certainly strung the fans on long enough for this. And then by July, by the summertime, you'll be looking at Santana as the champion because Hendry will have already lost the title to Frankie Kazarian. I don't think they're going to screw him right away. I don't think they want to take the title right off of Hendry, ruin the moment. But yeah, Hendry winning is the play. Frankie will be champion going into Slammiversary.
Okay, so I made a face when you suggested this, that's good. Slammiversary, it will be Frankie Kazarian, TNA World Champion versus Mike Santana. My initial thought was ill. I was like, ill. That sounds like an AEW Rampage middle of the show matchup.
But you know why it's fine? Because the Hardys are going to have some sort of banger super duper car crash match, and that's going to bring fans into UBS. Like,
that's the draw.
Tell me I'm wrong. They will tell, the story will be Mike winning the big title, but it's also going to be like the Hardys are going to do some crazy ass shit. That's just what it is.
Hey, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. But I agree with you. I do agree with you. You cannot honey dick your TNA fans anymore. You did it enough. Bound for Glory was my breaking point for TNA, and I ranted all about that on the review of the show that we did here. But I think that they still have a little bit left. I think they've already missed the peak of Joe Hendry. I'll be honest. I love Joe Hendry. I think he's very talented. And I think that you can get a lot out of him, even if it's a short run with him as TNA World Champion. But I think to hit the peak, he needed to win it at Bound for Glory. You've missed the peak now. You can at least just get it done. It feels this is very much as an old school Ring of Honor fan or ROH fan. This is very reminiscent of Tyler Black. Tyler Black was supposed to win the ROH World Championship back at Final Battle 2009. They did a draw. The fans were upset. They missed the peak of Tyler Black because of that, but they eventually got him the title like a few months later, and everything was fine. And then he went to WWE like 4 months later. I think we're going to see the same thing happen with Joe Hendry.
Yeah, I've been saying that's the whole thing. They're going to make Joe Hendry whole by giving him the world title as a thank you, but they're going to keep it on him for maybe 4 months, and then Joe's going to do what Joe's going to do. It's known what Joe Hendry wants. It's known that WWE likes him and can see the development of Joe Hendry under their umbrella. That's good. That's good business. Let it happen. But they'll give him the title. It'll be his, his thank you watch. And let Santana get his moment at home effectively.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Kazarian is champion going into the show. That's gonna piss some people off. But you need a heel. You just need
you do
a guy that everybody hates. The only other person that I do it to is AJ Francis, but I don't know if that's like that. I don't know.
That might be worse. Yeah.
But and that's the thing. Like you and I know that AJ is so much better than people give him credit for.
Yes.
But there's still that amount of dorkism out there on the internet that think that he can't do anything, when in reality, he's done a lot more for TNA than I think people will ever know. So he's the guy I would do it with, but I don't think he's going to be the guy. I think it'll be Kazarian because he's got call your shot. He can go ahead, take it from Joe Hendry. They'll do a rematch and then have him move forward. Like someone in the chat saying he deserves to hold the title.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Kazarian is one of like him and Christopher Daniels are like two of like the top like names from like old school TNA that were with the company as long as they were, that were never able to become the world champion. Definitely agree with you. Frankie Kazarian should be have the honor of the accomplishment of TNA world champion. I just feel like they missed the boat on that a long time ago. Like, I think they should have pulled the trigger on a Frankie Kazarian world title run when he first came back to the company in 2023, which was 2 years ago now.
Yeah, people weren't really a big fan of that, but
but you got to straight when someone comes into the company, that's the hottest they're gonna be really in TNA, honestly, unless they're like Joe Hendry or Mike Santana that have built up all this momentum. I don't feel like Kazarian has built up all this momentum. They just kept him in the top upper mid card main event scene for so long.
And I feel like if they have Frankie win the world title, they got to give him heaters. They got to make him look like the baddest. And I mean, like the biggest MFer out there that everybody hates. Give him, again, I kind of thought about, what if he inherits Sinner and Saint? What if he gets those guys? There's room in a story to make Kazarian that guy that you just want to see get beat, and he keeps eking his way out of it. You know who else was like that? SmackDown 2005, he held the title. It's going to be there on Saturday or Sunday night. He'll be on Raw on Monday. JBL was exactly the same way. You couldn't wait to see JBL drop that championship. You could do that with Frankie.
You could. We do have a super chat donation here from our good friend Will Chisholm. Thank you so much, Will, for the support. He says that's why Masha was at NXT. She knows she's dropping that title to Tessa. So I'm going to hope. I'm going to go and work NXT for some months. And LOL, let me work Julia. I mean, hell, I would love to see Masha Slamovich versus Julia. Sign me up for that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, she probably won't make it to like August with the TNA Knockouts World Title. And that means that Joel Pearl won't make it to August and the TNA Impact post show.
Rebellion is where? It's in LA?
I think so, yeah.
You know what else is close to LA? The Mexican border.
Oh man, it's gonna happen sooner. That's what he's trying to tell us. Oh God, no.
April.
No. Oh yeah, you're probably right. The
crowning moment. Have fun with that. Will I still be watching? Will I still be doing the post show? Time will tell. But Rebellion is April 27th.
Made a good point. Made me dread Rebellion. We'll probably have Joel back for our Rebellion preview. CPC says, unfortunately, there's not enough strong male heels in TNA. I would say, like, probably if you don't put Kazarian, like Josh Alexander would be one, but he's leaving. Moose would be one, but he has the X Division Championship. Like, the reason why I'm kind of like pushing back against this with Joel is because I know that it's probably the most likely scenario because of everything set up already. So.
Hammerstone, Jake something. You can make JDC a real asshole. Yeah, there aren't a lot.
No. There's not a lot in the main event picture in general. You got your Mike Santanas, but you're losing someone big in Josh Alexander. They're gonna have to rebuild their main event scene over the course of 2025. So we'll see how that goes down. But thank you guys in the chat. You guys have been awesome. Thank you, Will, for the super chat donation. And thank you so much to Joel Pearl for joining us today with our TNA Genesis 2025 preview. Joe, let everybody know where they can follow you on social media, where they can see all your great work, Fightful Overbook, Fightful main channel. The floor is yours.
Oh my goodness, where am I? I am at Blue Sky at thejoelpearl.com. I don't really use my Twitter anymore, but it's at Joel Pearl, JoelPearl. Same with Instagram, which I sometimes use. I'm in the weeds every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with Jeremy Lambert on our sister Fightful channel called Fightful Overbooked. SP3's there too sometimes, and you probably see him a lot more coming up soon, but that's where I am. So, yeah, I love being here. True Heel Heat has become my second home for content, so I appreciate coming and joining y'all today.
Oh, we love you here, Joel. That's why we always call you first with the TNA previews. We gotta call you for some more stuff. Get you on screen with Jimmy so Jimmy can attack you.
The problem is I have a kid at, well, not now, but on the weekends. When y'all want me to do flagship, I'm like, I'd love to, but also kids here, and I don't want that interaction going on.
No, that's too wild for any type of kid. Trust me, I tell my kid to get out.
Door is closed, nobody come in. Like it's fine, it's cool. Just go away. By the way, I also host the TNA post show over on Fightful every Thursday night after the show ends.
Yes, go over and check that out. You'll see me and Kate with the Ring of Honor post show, then Joel and Cresta every Thursday. Support us over there like you support us here. We appreciate y'all for joining us today. Appreciate y'all in the chat. Remember to drop the thumbs up on the video, comment down below if you're watching us on demand. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. You can follow the gang at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at TrueHillHeat. Patreon.com/True Hill Heat. $3 a month gets you exclusive content. The best place to support us when we are not live here. We won't be live tomorrow. Jimmy he's a world traveler this week. He's in Los Angeles apparently. So he told me that we had to push back a day. So AE Ramble, we will be live on Friday at 1:05 p.m. Eastern time. We'll have a THH cut that drops tomorrow here on the channel, so be on the lookout for that as well. And of course, we got our flagship podcast on Saturday, and we'll have a review of TNA Genesis come Monday, so be on the lookout for all of that. But for Joel Pearl, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. In the meantime, between time, check out Rated Raw review from yesterday. Check out NJPW Battle in the Valley review from earlier this week and our flagship podcast. But until then, this has been our TNA Genesis 2025 preview. We are signing off until next time.